Okay, on the GOAT discussion, these are my GOATs, and these are my biggest fail. These are my GOATs right here. So, are you reliable in the most challenging of times? That's what the greatest of all time would be in. Are you reliable when it's the most difficult? So I have George Washington, Muhammad Ali, Jackie Robinson, Walt Disney. And for the women, it's all artists. I have Frida Kahlo and Georgia O'Keeffe. And the biggest fail is Jesus and the Illuminati. The reason why they're the biggest fail is when the world was relying on them, they just left. They're like, we quit, and they just left. So that's the biggest fail. So the reason why George Washington is the GOAT for me is, or how would you be considered a GOAT, the greatest of all time, is you never take a step down. So you never take a step back from your greatness. So George Washington was a great general, and then he went up even further and became president when it was a field that he knew nothing about. So he was great, and then he became greater. Muhammad Ali the same way. Um, um, in boxing he was great, and when the world challenged him, he didn't back down. So he took on the world, and um, he took on the world without like being bashful about it. So he took on the boxing world, and then he took on um, the American government itself. So he just kept going up. Jackie Robinson the same way. He was great at baseball. He was great at baseball, and then he was the first African American. So he took on almost the stardom of African Americans. I don't know if Muhammad Ali was first, but especially in baseball, it's an American sport. It's mainly a Caucasian sport. Boxing was mixed. So Jackie Robinson went into a Caucasian sport and elevated the stardom for African Americans. Walt Disney, film at the time, cartoons weren't elevated as high, and he took cartoons to a high standard with Snow White. And then he built. Now he didn't just stop at film. He built a whole world, Disneyland, Disney World. So he kept elevating himself. Frida Kahlo, a Mexican woman. You just don't see that. You don't see Mexican women going into art. So she took a step further. She didn't take a second step, just one step. Georgia O'Keeffe the same way. She painted the female vagina as floral, as flower. So she elevated the woman, but they only took one step. They didn't ever take like a second step to greatness. And of course, the biggest fail is Jesus. When the world relied on them, they were never around. So that's the biggest fail. In terms of in terms of Michael Jordan and LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, well, the question, who is most reliable? Um, when it came down to clutch shots, um, Michael Jordan had the most clutch shots, like in the playoffs and in the finals. Um, Kobe Bryant always had a great season. He was always great during the season, but Shaq would take over and the other role players would take over when it came to clutch shots in the playoffs and finals. You see Fisher, Fisher taking clutch shots. When Michael Jordan was playing, no one took the clutch shots. No one ever was allowed to have the ball when it's 5 seconds left. When it's down to those seconds, it's always in Michael Jordan's hands. And Kobe Bryant wasn't that way. It was always around the team. LeBron James, I haven't evaluated LeBron James. He's so new. LeBron James is in the category of so Michael Jordan would be really relaxed during the season, meaning the team would take over, and during the playoffs and the finals, he would ramp it up and really elevate his game. LeBron James and Kobe Bryant would take their whole team to the finals, and then they would turn down during the finals. So each has their flaws. Each has their flaws. So that's why the GOAT argument, you have to look at the flaws as well. But when it comes down to the finals, it's always Michael Jordan. The ball's always in his hands. In baseball, of course, Gretzky. In hockey, I just hear a lot of. I watched a little bit of film on him too. But Crosby of the Colorado, the Penguins, Pittsburgh Penguins. I hear a lot about him too. I follow all sports. So yeah, in baseball, Derek Jeter was always clutch when you needed base hits. Derek Jeter was always on. Like he always knew. All right, it's just ball placement in baseball. So Derek Jeter always, when you needed base hits, he was always reliable. It's like, all right, we got two on base. Derek Jeter, we just need a base hit. We don't need a home run. We just need two guys to come home, and he'll just get those base hits. He was reliable. So it's not always about home runs in baseball. It's about situation. So if you have two guys on base, and the manager's like, okay, we need you to get some, we need to get these guys home. Can you get some base hits to get the guys home? And that's when you need to be reliable and not go for the home run. So if that fastball comes in and it looks tasty, right? You have to hold your bat and not go for that home run, because if you swing out and it's 2 outs, and if you swing out, meaning you miss and you hit a fly ball where it just pops straight up, you're gonna get your guys out. So base hits are like 60%, 70% more accurate than a home run. So you want to go for the base hit and hold off when it looks, because they're gonna tempt you, right? It's 2 outs. You got two guys on base. They know that They know that you want a base hit, so they're gonna go in with fastballs all day just to tempt you. And you got to be disciplined enough not to go for it and just let it go by. And only hit the ball when you can get a base hit out of it. Um, so yeah, so that's my goat. That's my entry into the goat conversation. These are my goats, man. Like these are the best of the best. When you need them, they're there, right? He's not a president. He doesn't know anything about politics. He's just a general. But when they needed him to be president going into politics, he just did it. When you need them, they're not there. Biggest fails.